I always was told what a genius my brother was, and what an amazing IQ he had. And I can't remember what it was, but I can remember as a young child hearing that and getting very tired of it, But there was a situation, and the third grade teacher, when I was at Buckley School, I guess she was a third grade teacher that he had. She said, Bruce never got in trouble. And she would tell this story over and over. He never got in trouble. But one time I sent him to the corner, and he said, "No, miss." And you had to say everything in French, and this go, no, miss, I am not going to the corner. Bruce, you go to the corner now. And I am not going to the corner. And it turned out it was a poisonous spider that was in the corner that he had recognized, because he had already done his, Remember that little shop that he had that was full of collections and So he knew the spider.
Talk about that. Was that in the out in that little shed kind of across from his bedroom?
Well, that was the shed. But I mean, this was the third grade teacher that was telling me the story,
But his collection.
How proud she was. Yes, it was in that shed. He had his own little shed. None of the rest of us
like a biologist.
But he had, because he had to, he was digging up fossils in the backyard. He was hanging out with the people from the museum, the scientists. He'd go out on the ship. What?
At what age? At what age?
He was a boy, because he wasn't doing that when you knew him. He was really young, and Mom would say, "Oh, he's off with the scientists," and it was amazing. Those parties, those Halloween parties, remember how they got crazier and crazier and crazier every year? There'd be the pigs.
Every year.
Yeah.
Well, your mom.
And my mother loved it. I know.
Yeah, she was like the instigator.
I know.
She was out ahead of everybody. I realized, by the third or fourth year, that it wasn't Bruce that was doing all this. It was Patsy.
I know. Well, every holiday, too. Easter, she's a hard act to follow, Easter, there were, huge celebrations and baskets, and she took her fingers and put them in ash and would make little bunny paws so that we would, track the bunny paws out of the house. And, and then, of course, Christmas, went on and on and on. And I can remember as a kid thinking, stop, as a little kid, But, of course, I was searching for something more, too, because it was never, it was all about, the other stuff. But, oh, my goodness, she could throw a party.
Yeah. That dancing bear, I don't know if he had other gigs, but he certainly had a steady gig at the Marquardt Halloween party. He was there.
Was he at the Halloween
and the parties
party too?
would go. What's that?
Was he at the Halloween party too? I just remember him at.
That's how I knew about it. Was at the Halloween party.
Okay.
What I remember, and I could be confusing things, was that by the second or third year, the parties would start on a Friday, and they wouldn't finish until Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And the bear.
I can remember walking around with my girlfriends in the morning and just seeing the bodies, flown all over the place, and the pit
all
fire.
All over the property.
Remember? Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. And the pit fire, remember? She had the fire pit
and
in the back there.
And they'd roast an entire pig.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus. This is like black magic and craziness. Wild.
I hope you're going to write a book or something, because it really is pretty. I try to tell my kids, and they like roll their eyes at me, like, oh yeah, sure,
This photo was taken about 5 minutes after I met Bruce. He drove to David's house in his travelall, mostly on the sidewalk, wearing his grandmother's jodhpurs, Mimi, the stem cigarette, and those round glasses, and the Cuban boots. And I was mesmerized, absolutely dumbfounded. Who is this here? And then he was tickling me, and it was all over. Absolutely all over. Total brotherly, perverse brotherly love. He was obviously brilliant. I mean, right out of the gate, you could tell that. And I got to say, later, when I got to know the Marquardt family, when I spent time in Encino at the house, met Michael, met Amanda, met his mom, and met his dad. This very wild and kind of dissolute picture emerged. The alcoholism, the probable drugs, the loose behavior, and not necessarily in Bruce, and the money, and Bruce's obvious discomfort with all that, really, his critique of it. And it added to the fun, of course, because then we could go down to Venice and hang out at a coffee shop and, and get real. But this was an odd family, a very impaired family, a very brilliant father, really. Yeah. That was Brucito.
I'm looking at this picture while I'm talking to you, the one where the three of us are outside at High Hall.
Yeah. Now, when was that? Because it looked like. Well, I didn't know when. I didn't know how old you all were.
Well, I believe this is my graduation.
Oh, I see.
And then, because Ame is down at the bottom, and Wolfgang is right there, and that's when I had Ame, right. She went to I had her for 6 months, and
wow.
So that looks her age.
Just adored Kathy, just adored her, and just was she was the organizer, and she was the creative doer, and Bruce was the holder of the babies, and the cook. And I just remember it being a very warm and inclusive environment. And one time I had this horrific abdominal pain that was undiagnosed, and Bruce, for some reason, had this famous anthroposophic doctor in the house somehow visiting. And he came out and he did this shamanic energy healing work over me, and I just remember almost passing out with the abdominal cramping that I used to get from stress, and somehow it just cleared up with some kind of homeopathy and weird shamanic anthroposophical healing things. But Bruce had that worked out, and somehow, I don't know if the kids went through vaccinations or anything like that, that they were definitely involved in anthroposophical medicine.
And Michael one day brought home a baby Jersey dairy cow. That's Heidi.
Yeah.
And he also bought an entire herd of sheep that looked like goats from the islands, like Santa Cruz Island.
Mm-hmm.
And Nico is a dog that was running loose in Ojai. that never stayed with anyone, just always wanted a different owner, and just absolutely adored Michael. And so we had a lot of animals up at High Winds.
See the picture with of David and the baby? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tony's son. That's my daughter, my second child, Anna.
Oh my gosh.
That's my second. Yeah. That was her christening. We were once in a plane and there was a lot of turbulence, and he looked at me, he says, he said, Amanda, if the plane goes down, would you pray for me? Right, real quick, pray for me. And and then he stopped and he said, no. He said, I don't want to go to heaven because none of my friends would be there. He said, don't pray for me. I changed my mind.